Welcome to the official Football League video of Luton Town's season 1990-1991. Following the previous season's turmoil with 3 managers, 4 chairmen and a last gasp escape from relegation, this season had to be a little easier on the nerves. You'll see all the goals in all the games in the Hatters last season on the synthetic pitch. For manager Jim Ryan, the upcoming season had one priority: to avoid the now seemingly ritual struggle against relegation. The first team squad saw no new players brought in. Goalkeeper Alec Chamberlain had played every game the previous season. Similarly, Tim Breaker was an ever-present, and he was supported by the now fit again Dave Beaumont and John Dreyer. 2 midfield players had left: Danny Wilson to Sheffield Wednesday for £200,000 and Mick Kennedy to Stoke for £180,000. That left room for youngsters Kerry Hughes and Jason Rees. Up front it was again Elstrup, Dowie and last season's top scorer Kingsley Black who led the way. So to the first game of the new season, at home to Crystal Palace.
Palace let in 66 goals last season, but today their new signings combined well for an opening goal, a Hodges free kick, and Eric Young was on the end to flick the ball home. Then, just when the Londoners thought they might go into the break with an advantage, Luton hit back. Ian Dowie's near-post header equalising right on the stroke of half-time. That was the end of the scoring. Both teams face a difficult season, so a point each to start with was probably a satisfactory result. Before the match, Manchester
Ball in at the near post. Elstrup showing plenty of bravery, and Arsenal a goal down after just 12 minutes. But this mistake by left-back Julian James weakened Luton's position. David Rocastle making full use of the room, and Paul Merson pouncing on the cross. Arsenal level 8 minutes before half-time. Merson was also a scorer in their 3-0 victory at Wimbledon in their first match, and it was victory again here. The decisive goal came midway through the second half. Michael Thomas with a low shot which cut through the Luton resistance. Thomas missed out on England's World Cup squad as his form faltered last season. He's out to stake a claim again now.
The corresponding game between these two sides yielded 9 goals last season, so fans at the Dell were right to expect another thriller. But the Danish international Lars Elstrup obviously hadn't read the script. His shot passing underneath Tim Flower's body to give Luton the lead, despite a desperate effort to clear by Mick Adams. And 7 minutes later, Elstrup added another, his 3rd of the season, heading home unmarked as the Saints defenders seemed to have disappeared. 2-0 to Luton, and the home fans were beginning to wish they were somewhere else as well, until Matthew Le Tissier, an England prospect, produced another sublime moment of skill, providing Paul Rideout with a simple chance. Southampton were back in the game but couldn't add to that goal as Luton ran out worthy winners in another entertaining match.
United's first away win of the season when Mark Robbins, keeping out Welsh international Mark Hughes, scored the winner. And then the bad news. United skipper Steve Bruce became the first to go under the new FIFA ruling that instructs referees to send off a player who brings down an opponent in a goal-scoring position, a so-called professional foul. So United down to 10 men for the last 20 minutes, but they held on to their lead. Left many of their players struggling for full fitness. They certainly seem to be suffering from something, giving Lars Elstrup a lot of room on the left and allowing Kingsley Black to sneak in with the winning header early in the game. Leeds piled on the pressure after that, but Luton held on for all 3 points.
Rangers had scored only 3 times all season, but their supposed shyness in front of goal evaporated and Luton were torn apart. Roy Wegerle, scorer of all the Rangers goals so far, opened their account with a piece of pure improvisation. Wegerle, who's a former Luton player and almost played for the United States in the World Cup, had a hand in number 2 as well. A nice touch-off to David Bardsley, and the fullback's raking cross buried by Andy Sinton. Now a real collector's item for you. A cross from Sinton, and there was the former England captain Ray Wilkins, who hardly ever scores, getting the faintest of touches off that receding hairline. Kerry Hughes' shot from just inside the box brought some respectability to proceedings, at least as far as Luton were concerned, but back came Rangers to apply the killer blows. Wegerle once more breezing past 3 defenders to blast home his 5th of the season. It brings him level with Jensen of Forest as the division's leading scorer. By now it was Roy of the Rangers stuff as Wegerle crossed, and Mark Falco, keen to get in on the act before a 3-match ban, volleyed home number 5. And the Rangers captain and England defender Paul Parker hammered in the final nail as the Londoners fulfilled Don Howe's match-day pledge that his team would give someone a real hiding one day soon.
Just 8,000 turned up at Kenilworth Road to see if Luton had recovered from that 6-1 pasting last week, and they saw an early goal. Kingsley Black and Ian Dowie's delicate deflection took it past Grizovic in the Coventry goal. 3 points and mid-table respectability for Luton, who usually struggle in the First Division basement.
So 7 games played and 8th in the table. That big defeat against Queen's Park Rangers flattering in the scoreline for the London side. In all, a solid start to the season. The first cup competition, the Rumbelows, saw a 1-1 draw at home to 3rd Division Bradford City, followed by the same scoreline in the away leg. So after extra time came the dreaded penalty shootout. And like England in the World Cup, the Hatters were eliminated, losing 5-4 on Ian Dowie's miss. Sandwiched between the cup games came a league visit to Norwich.
Norwich made a good start at Carrow Road. Early in the game, Dale Gordon is involved at the start and the finish. Alec Chamberlain can't hold it, and the home side a goal up. Dramatic spell just after half-time, though. 3 goals in less than a quarter of an hour from Luton's Danish international Lars Elstrup. That's the equaliser. And now a couple of excellent set pieces from Luton that had the home manager Dave Stringer absolutely furious. Elstrup at the end of Steve Williams' free kick. And this isn't an action replay. It's the hat-trick. Williams again. Number 3 for Luton and number 3 for Elstrup. Norwich 1, Luton 3. Hatters enjoying their best season for ages.
A great away win, the 2nd of the season, and 6th position in Division 1, Luton's highest placing for 4 years. The financial restraints at the club meant the sale of Tim Breaker to West Ham for £600,000. Part of the League Cup winning side in 1988, Tim had played over 250 games in 8 seasons at the club. Marvin Johnson was given his first full game of the season in place of Breaker away to Sunderland.
Sunderland manager Dennis Smith, tongue firmly in cheek, reckons that Marco Gabbiadini is the son of an Italian pasta maker who once played for Juventus. Gabbiadini opened the scoring, that's his 6th of the season. Peter Davenport very much involved. And a few more goals like this, the Italian league giants may soon be knocking on Smith's door. On the half hour, Wearside's favourite Italian dish, return the compliment. Davenport supplying the finish this time. Luton's poor defensive form away from home fails them once again. Everton haven't won at Kenilworth Road since Luton laid their synthetic pitch in the mid-80s. For 45 minutes they showed just why. Luton's prolific Dane Lars Elstrup headed the home side in front midway through the first half. His first home goal. Different story in the second half. Everton at last coming to terms with a bouncy surface, and Pat Nevin earned them a share of the spoils. Hardly riveting stuff, both sides though happy with a point. It's 3 wins in a week now for Derby County, their season getting into gear at last. Luton not the best of travellers, and they give away a penalty there. Handball on the line by David Preece. Mick Forsyth's shot, blatant handball. And Dean Saunders with the penalty. Past Alex Chamberlain, his 5th goal of the season. Luton pulled level just after half-time. Now number 7, Lars Elstrup's having a great season for them. He's got terrific pace, and Kingsley Black, the Northern Ireland international, is in for a neat equaliser. Derby made sure of their first win at the baseball ground this season with a splendid effort from Nigel Callaghan, on loan from Aston Villa. What a great strike beyond Alex Chamberlain. Callaghan due to go back to Villa after this match. Derby fans will want him to stay after that one. Liverpool 4 points clear at the top of Division 1, face Luton, keen to stay ahead of the pack in the title race. Ian Rush wasted no time. Liverpool immediately 1 up. Rush back at his very sharpest. A superb pass too from Ray Houghton. Seconds later, it was 2-0. Steve Nicol taken out by Harby. Jan Molby, in what may well be his last game for the club. He's on his way to Barcelona by all accounts. 2-0, just 10 minutes gone. Half-time approached with Liverpool looking as good as they've done all season. An air of inevitability when Beardsley won that ball in midfield. Rush onto it again. Brilliant work once more. 3-0 to Liverpool, 2 for Rush. After the break, Liverpool kept up the good work, barely giving Luton a side of goal. And Peter Beardsley, who was having an outstanding season, made it 4. Liverpool now 6 points ahead at the top of the table, and they're still unbeaten.
With only 1 point gain from the last 4 games, Luton slip into the bottom half of the table. The only consolation in the defeat by Liverpool, the appearance of Sean Farrell as a substitute. He'd been out for 15 months through injury, and he retained a place on the substitutes bench for the visit of Manchester City.
Peter Reid was confirmed as Manchester City's player manager during the week, but decided to save his old knees from the rigours of Luton's artificial pitch. His side were doing fine without him. Adrian Heath surges through the Luton defence here to set up David White's 5th goal of the season. Just before the break, City go 2 up. A free kick worked to skipper Steve Redmond, who blasts into the top corner. but the second half belonged to Luton. Ian Dowie, dropped from the Northern Ireland side in midweek, restakes his claim with a brave header. And in the 89th minute, Dowie is brought down by Colin Hendry. No doubt about the penalty, but considerable doubt about the way it's taken. Instant stuff here from John Dreyer. Coton in the City goal feels the kick had been taken before he was ready, but the referee not impressed. 2-2 then at Kenilworth Road.
Williams, Elstrop, confident touch for Harvey. Dowie trying to get in front. As he did, he was pushed by Paul McGrath. And Luton, with just over a minute to go to half-time, free kick, which might well threaten Aston Villa here. McDonough's come forward. Williams has a sight of goal, but it hit Cowans in the wall. Williams goes in again. Dowie, and now Elstrop, and Kingsley Black! A player who was getting more and more in on the act in the first half has given the first half a goal, and the free kick in the end was costly, although it didn't come from the rehearsed route. But Dowie typically made a nuisance of himself, and then Lars Elstrop up against Derek Mountfield, headed across, and Black all alone on his left foot picked that one out. His fourth goal of the season. Johnson, was surprised that the ball reached him, and all Nielsen could do is the ball rather spat up at him, would steer it behind for a corner, and the Luton supporters hoping that their anxieties could be ended by a second goal here. Priest and Black trying to draw Villa out, unsuccessfully. Harvey did well to reach that. Dreyer, oh, and Dowie! McGrath was there again when he needed to be. Was just touched by the back of Paul McGrath's head. Splendid cross by Dreyer. And McGrath, excellent again. And here's Elstrop, yes! A second goal that should secure the points. Lars Elstrop had time to get it onto his favoured left foot, and there was only a tiny gap down by the post, but he found it. And the player who's made a habit of scoring goals away from Kenilworth Road has one here that might well end Aston Villa's hopes of a recovery. Hughes. For Lars Elstrop, it's his 8th of this season, but only his 2nd on this ground. Thumping challenge by Dreyer. His first time. Cascarino gets to it. It rather ran Johnson's way then. Cascarino was so confident with the ball being played in early that he could get a header, that he was going to go for goal, twisting his entire torso to try and get the power, because he was right on the edge of the penalty area. This is Daly, and now York. And Villa have a lot of players forward, and Dwight York has turned beautifully. And it was McDonough who got to it. Now Cowans takes them all on. His target in the bottom corner. And that's the way it's gone for Aston Villa. Not just today, but throughout this month, really. Cowans moving on quickly after York. It showed us that he's got a low centre of gravity and the ability to change direction here. McDonough has done very well indeed. Dowie will keep it in. And Luton looking for another goal. Hughes. Kingsley Black off the bar! And not looked initially out of play. Well, that really would have been an insult to Aston Villa. Very nearly 3-0.
Winger Franz Carr's on a weekly contract at Forest. He's definitely the ace in their pack. Carr too clever for the Luton defence. Just 6 minutes gone. Luton, a resilient side these days. 10 minutes later, they get an equaliser. Steve Williams for Lars Elstrup. Now, there aren't many people Des Walker can't catch, but Elstrup is one of them. And Elstrup struck again, putting Luton ahead in the first minute of the second half. Danish international beating Mark Crossley. Beautiful goal, his 10th of the season. But Carr must be well worth his weekly paycheck. He's instrumental in Forest's equaliser. Here's Carr on the ball. And Nigel Clough does the rest. 4 goals in 2 games for Clough this week.
Quite firm and solid, the central defenders of Luton. Treya and McDonough have looked very composed at the back, and now they'll need to be again as Arsenal once again make a break with Paul Merson here. Again, Luton get it away, only as far as Thomas. Limpar's on the far side, a little chip by him! Terrific bit of goalkeeping by Chamberlain. And certainly the closest that Arsenal have been on a breakaway there. Limpar spotting the Chamberlain as he yard or two off his line. The little floated shot knocked over the top. Another corner for Arsenal as we come to the last minute of the first half now. Paul Davis with it. And a goal is scored by Alan Smith as Arsenal go into the lead right on the stroke of half-time. The corner from Davis, and there's Smith there with more room than he should have been allowed to score his 9th goal of the season. Quarter of an hour, the second half gone. Arsenal still leading by 1-0. Priest to bring it away for Luton. Rees. Throw to Luton. Jason Rees with it. No, Marvin Johnson will take it. Missed in nicely by Black. Against the crossbar. Elstrup tried to get the header back in again. And Luton so close with an equalising goal, with the ball bouncing off the crossbar. And Elstrup just failing to get the rebound past David Seaman. Ian Dowie to David Priest now for Luton. Elstrup for 7 to Priest. Again, Arsenal getting it away quite comfortably from those central defensive areas. Here's Thomas putting it to Merson on the far side. And Luton could be in trouble there, but the whistle had gone. Substitution about to be made. Sean Farrell coming on for Luton Town now. Dixon, against all the odds, did well there, surrounded by three. But here Luton continuing to make the running here in the second half, gets it through to Ian Dowie, brought down by Tony Adams, and a penalty given. Well, John Dreyer normally takes the Luton penalties. Dowie going in there, Arsenal contesting the points, Tony Adams clashing with Ian Dowie, Downey went into the box, the referee having no hesitation in pointing to the spot, and a red card! The Arsenal captain sent off. That's a sensational development now at Kenilworth Road. Can only be for dissent, for arguing with referee Philip Don. But it was Adams who conceded the penalty, and Arsenal now down to 10 men as Tony Adams, consoled there by Perry Groves, goes off. What a sensational development. And now Arsenal back on their haunches because they could be pulled back to 1-1 as Dreyer lines up to take this penalty for Luton Town. Scores, and it's 1-1.
6 points from those last 4 games and an improvement in the Hatters' league position sees them on the same number of points as Norwich, but just below them on goal difference, the legacy of that 6-1 loss at Queen's Park Rangers. Away from the league, the Hatters had taken part in the Guinness Soccer Sixes, making it to the final against Liverpool.
Luton have come past Coventry, Tottenham, Derby County, Charlton and Manchester United. Liverpool have reached the final by the shorter route, although they would say in winning the league championship to get a qualifying berth they actually put in plenty of work. And Everton are their victims tonight, and the draw with Aston Villa that won the group for them. It's going to be frenetic, and David Priest squaring up to a much taller man. 5 minutes remaining in the first period. Mulby, who's thoroughly enjoyed himself. Beardsley using the boards. Brought out by Kingsley Black. To his left, David Beaumont. Farrell's gone roaring ahead. Beaumont lines it up, and Farrell has his 4th goal. So there might be some extra money coming his way.
Oh, what opportunism this is, isn't it? Dave Bowman's shot going way wide, but Sean Farrell, 3 goals already, that's his 4th. Playing full of confidence. Look at that for cheek.
Jim Ryan's finding it hard to believe, I think. And he's talking to Nick Collins.
Jim, tense moments here in the second half.
Yeah, I think very, very tense. This is really the crucial point, probably. If we can stop them scoring and maybe sneak another one, we have a really good chance of winning it.
You've come close a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah. Move the ball!
Can you hang on?
Well, we just want no mistakes. That's what we're all for.
OK, thanks, Jim.
That was a cry from the heart. But he might have another goal. He has! Lars Elstrup. It's moving away from Liverpool. Elstrup played the first pass and got the return. And Black, the movement is good off the ball, despite the fact that Liverpool had longer to rest before the final. And Luton good enough to do what 3 other teams couldn't do on qualifying nights. That's play 2 games in a row and win them both. James, 3-0. The number 3 gets the 3rd. And Jimmy Ryan, who, like all other managers in the First Division, hasn't had too many memorable times against Liverpool, is cherishing this.
It will be a popular win here for the football followers who've come every night and seen all the teams and seen the qualities and know that Luton have been the cream, really. Priest. Taken on by Beaumont. And Priest is in. He could give Farrell. Well, he doesn't. He wants one for himself. So he's got 4. And Luton Town in this final have 4. The toast here in Manchester is Luton Town Football Club. They are the champions 1990 of Soccer 6. And everyone rushes to shake the hand of Jim Ryan, and on the pitch, David Priest in particular. If you had to pick out a star, it was Priest. But everybody performed so capably for Luton, and Liverpool could not match them.
So the first trophy of the season and over £52,000 in the bank. Next stop in the league, a visit to Crystal Palace.
A trio of Palace players returned from international duty with England B and Algiers after glowing reports. Goalkeeper Nigel Martin and captain Jeff Thomas staked claims for future full honours. Star of the show was striker Ian Wright. Against Luton, though, it was his partner up front, Mark Bright, who opened the scoring with a well-placed header. In the second half, Wright might have had a hat-trick to add to his 10 goals already this season. Time and time again, though, he was thwarted by the Luton keeper, Alec Chamberlain. Unfortunately, Luton's forwards were equally unsuccessful. All Chamberlain's heroics were for nothing, and Bright's first half goal was enough for all 3 points.
A midweek game in the Zenith Data Systems Cup provided the Hatters with their biggest victory of the season. 4 first-half goals sending them on their way to a 5-1 win. Back in the First Division, a stormy afternoon away to Spurs.
Spurs have been struggling recently, just 1 point from the last 3 games, and Luton seem right on course to add to the misery. 12 minutes gone, Kingsley Black with the cross, and Ian Dowie, the Northern Ireland striker, completing an all-Irish move. Naheem didn't help the Tottenham cause, sent off for dissent midway through the first half. A Spurs down to 10 men then, but when Paul Gascoigne's one of them, it doesn't matter. Gascoigne this week named BBC Sports Personality of the Year, and he wriggles through the Luton defence typically, and Paul Stewart reaps the rewards. Just the second goal of the season for Stewart. Bad-tempered game this one, 4 bookings and 3 sendings off. Pat van den Hauwe joined Naheem in the dressing room, and Luton's Kerry Hughes also giving his marching orders after a foul on Lineker. Just before the hour though, the same combination. Gascoigne with the corner and Stewart with the strike. Spurs finish with 9 men, but all 3 points.
With Vinnie Jones leading from the front, who would write off Sheffield United's chances of survival in the First Division? Carl Bradshaw with the overhead kick, showing that they're finding their feet. United, having recorded that first victory over Nottingham Forest, showed encouraging signs of life at Luton, with striker Brian Deane leading the way. Deane reacting well to the through ball to put Sheffield United into a well-earned lead. They haven't scored many this season, but Deane has got most of them, and he really looks the part in the First Division. And even at the back, Sheffield was showing a newfound resilience. Goalkeeper Simon Tracy equal to the best Luton had to offer from Lars Elstrup. The final word went fittingly to the irrepressible Jones. His 20-yard first-timer forcing Alec Chamberlain into a save. A second successive victory for Sheffield United, and Dave Bassett's men are bouncing back.
An inept performance by Luton, made worse by Kerry Hughes suffering a knee injury which required surgery and sidelined him for the remainder of the season. Jason Rees was Hughes' replacement for the visit of Chelsea.
As long as Luton have their artificial pitch, there'll be a handful for any team. Sean Farrell, a newcomer, putting them ahead against Chelsea. It was the youngsters' first league goal. Chelsea just couldn't get to grips with their hard-court game, and Luton's Northern Ireland international Kingsley Black showed them the way with some neat close control and a well-deserved second.
The worries are beginning to pile up too at Luton, and they dropped even further into the relegation area after this visit to Plough Lane. John Fashanu puts the Dons ahead just before half-time, his 8th goal in 7 games. Fash then went off with a knee injury, and his replacement, the indestructible Alan Cork, scored Wimbledon's 2nd 6 minutes from time. A neat side foot coming up to secure a victory for manager Ray Harford over the club he left just a year ago.
Yes, Ray Harford leading Wimbledon to victory on the anniversary of his being sacked by Luton. The league position was worsening, with only 3 points coming from the last 5 games. In the FA Cup, the Hatters avenged the league defeat by Sheffield United, winning 3-1 at Bramall Lane, 2 goals from Lars Elstrup, taking his total to 13 for the season. And the following week, the first signing of the season, Paul Holsgrove joining from non-league Wokingham for £25,000. Back in the league, Southampton were the visitors to Kenilworth Road.
Southampton have never won on the plastic pitch at Kenilworth Road, but after 9 minutes they take the lead through a McLaughlin cross and a Rodney Wallace finish. A quarter of an hour later, Luton are back on level terms. 21-year-old Sean Farrell on the wing, and former Danish international Lars Elstrup slams in his 11th of the season. Just 2 minutes later, and Southampton's chance of victory looks to be ebbing away. Their defence demonstrating why they've almost the worst record in the division. Only QPR have conceded more. Farrell once again involved. It's Julian James at the far post. The Hatters back on top. But Southampton have some talent up front to compensate for their suspect defence. 26-year-old Soviet Alexei Cherednik slides it through to Letizier in the 28th minute. 2-2 then at the interval. The second half just a minute old when Southampton strike again. Mick Adams crosses. Look at this from Letizier. His 11th goal of the season. Southampton now leading 3-2. In the 53rd minute, the Saints go further ahead. Alan Shearer finds Wallace, who gets his 2nd of the afternoon. Southampton now 4-2 up. 12 minutes from time, Luton reduced the deficit. It looks like Cherednik who pushes number 7, Elstrup. Definitely worth a second look. What matters is that referee Ray Lewis is convinced. John Dreyer, who's upset keepers before with his unorthodox style, converts from the spot. It's not enough. Southampton hold on for all 3 points.
Luton down in 15th place, but they are one of the sides to have beaten Leeds this season, 1-0 at Kenilworth Road back in September. Mel Sterling, miscuing, and Elstrup presented with a great early chance, and he's hit the post. Inside 2 minutes, a let-off for Leeds of extravagant proportions, and for Mel Sterling in particular, what was he thinking of then? Well, if he was aiming for the goalkeeper, he didn't find him, and Elstrup was aiming for a gap inside the post, but he hit the post. Luton have moved Darren McDonough into the centre of their defence again. He has been playing in midfield. McDonough and Dreyer, the 2 centre-backs, hoping to deal with these Leeds attacks, which are carrying more and more menace. Chapman, shot is there. Now Strachan, trying to loft it to McAllister. The linesman is flagging. An infringement by James, and it's a penalty. A penalty to Leeds. Really, I think, awarded by referee Colin Trussell with the help of the linesman on this near side, Doug Charnley. James was holding McAllister there. And the stage is set for Strachan to step up. It was his pass that posed the problem in the first place. So James, who just tugged them at Gary McAllister and was spotted by the linesman. The protests go on. It's a delay which would test the nerves perhaps of less experienced campaigners than this one. So here goes Strachan, 1-0. No shortage of instructions from the Leeds bench. And Mick Hannigan really not totally pleased with what he's seeing from his players. And what is worrying them, perhaps the gap through the middle. This is Pembridge, the flag has gone up. Oh, what a shame for Pembridge and for Luton, and we're going to get more protests here. It was the touch there that the linesman ruled put Pembridge into an offside position. No goal. It looked for a long time as though McAllister was bound for Nottingham Forest. But he's blossoming in the centre of Leeds United's midfield. Dreyer, clear throw. In fact, a shot on the far touchline took the ball away from a rather reluctant McAllister to drive in the cross. Leeds have got their positioning for Batty's throw. Oh, and Chapman and Fairclough, 2-0. So the throw did the damage. In the 15th minute of the second half. Chamberlain felt that he could get it in the first place, but he didn't. Chapman improvised, and Fairclough was facing the goal, and really he could hardly miss. And Chapman creates one here for Chris Fairclough. Strachan, no offside. He didn't quite run for Carl shot. That's a marvellous pass by Williams to Black. Elstrup and Farrell up with Kingsley Black. And Elstrup! Lars Elstrup came roaring in beyond the far post. And John Lukic couldn't get down quickly enough. And Luton very much in a hurry. Williams created it from inside his own half. And Kingsley Black was good enough to carry it on and get into a position to cross to the far side. No cover this time for Leeds. And Elstrup via the goalkeeper in, 2-1.
A 10th consecutive home win for Leeds in League and Cups. Luton were unlucky but slipped further down the table, now only 5 points away from the relegation zone. And there was further disappointment in the FA Cup when, after a 1-1 draw at Luton, it was West Ham's turn to score 5 in the third cup meeting between the sides this season. 3 days later, the Hatters faced Queen's Park Rangers at home in the league.
Don Howe and Bobby Gould must sigh with relief every weekend when they find 11 players fit enough to turn out for Queen's Park Rangers. But don't expect the rest of the First Division to have any sympathy. Kingsley Black gave them more problems, curling that 20-yard free kick at Kenilworth Road. Howe's teams are renowned for their fighting qualities, and it was stand-in striker Les Ferdinand who was to prove Rangers' salvation. His header put the London side back on level terms. The Luton defence caught napping. Into the 89th minute, perhaps at last a sign that Queen's Park Rangers' luck may be turning. They snuffed out a last-ditch Luton attack to send Ferdinand racing towards goal. His pace carries him past a somewhat static back four, and a well-placed low drive secures 3 much-needed points for the beleaguered Rangers.
Luton's next match following the big freeze was at home to Liverpool, sensationally minus Kenny Dalglish.
Well, Ronnie Moran's first job as caretaker manager is to take Liverpool to their least favourite ground, Kenilworth Road. The league champions really have never taken to Luton's artificial pitch. Though for a while it seemed as though they'd put the events of the last 24 hours behind them. Cross from Steve Nicol, it hits the right arm of defender Julian James. It's an obvious penalty. And Jan Molby gets the job, and he sends Alec Chamberlain the wrong way. What a different story, though, in the second half. Luton, inspired by their Danish striker Lars Elstrup, finding a lot of space behind the Liverpool defence. That's Ian Dowie with a good cross and a rare header from the Northern Ireland international Kingsley Black. And 7 minutes later, the game's transformed. Once again, it's Elstrup and Dowie combining and getting a bit of luck as well. But it's goal number 5 of the season for Dowie. And now Elstrup again, finding a lot of space down the right wing, and Dowie gets in front of Hussein to stab it home. Liverpool now conceded 7 goals in 2 games, and they've lost their place at the top of Division 1.
That great win lifted the Hatters 2 places in the table above Coventry and Sunderland, but it was all still extremely tight. In the Zenith Data Systems Cup quarter-final at Stamford Bridge, Luton won 4-1 on penalties after extra time, setting up a Southern Area semi-final against Crystal Palace. Played just 8 days later at Selhurst Park, Jason Rees equalised an early Palace goal before Ian Wright scored 1 in each half to leave Luton with only their league position to concentrate on. The next game was at home to Nottingham Forest.
Last week, Ian Dowie got 2 goals in Luton's 3-1 victory over Liverpool. This week, from a David Priest free kick, his 1 goal was enough to dispatch Nottingham Forest.
So Luton in good spirits for a midweek match at Manchester City.
Earlier this week, they travelled to Main Road, Manchester in search of their first away point since the 1st of December. It wasn't to be. Niall Quinn pouncing on Darren McDonough's stumble to give City the lead after 20 minutes. 11 minutes later, Luton were a little unlucky to concede a penalty when Graham Rodgers slipped and brought down Clive Allen. Allen made it 2-0 to City from the spot. Luton never threatened Tony Coton in the City goal, and before half-time they were 3-0 down and buried. Another sweeping City move finds David White in acres of space on the right wing. His cross picks out Niall Quinn, who towers above the orange shirts to head home his 2nd of the evening.
Was quick in. Well seen though by Cowans again, and now Price, and now York. But Dreyer closed him down exceptionally well. It's a great ball by Price, and now a chance for the new boy, and can he mark his debut? The knee of Chamberlain prevented a fairy tale becoming reality. Great. Johnson's head. Pembridge, well run by Cowans. Cascarino can turn, can he shoot? Good save. Alec Chamberlain's working hard for his money today. But this is a good save. Cascarino doesn't really get hold, does he? But well seen by Chamberlain. Mountfield missed it for once. And now it's Elstrup and Black, the 2 danger men in unison. Good ball across the face! And Derek Mountfield is the culprit. A highly unfortunate own goal, but Luton Town on a breakaway between the 2 undoubted danger men. Lars Elstrup in picture and Kingsley Black have taken the lead here. Derek Mountfield, own goal. And this is a kind of a hat-trick he won't want. More on that in a second. Black's dangerous cross, and Mountfield, in attempting to get it over the bar, puts it under and in. And Luton have the lead. Black forward, and Dowie can chase on Nielsen. Neither would beat Ben Johnson in the Indoor World Athletics Championships this weekend, I have to say, but good tackle from Pembridge. And now Luton can do something else down his left side. Here's Priest. More danger. Dowie, and an excellent save by Spink. And again Villa gets stretched down the left, down their right. York couldn't get back. Good cross again, this time from Priest. 2 Villa defenders missed it, and Spink didn't, thankfully for Villa. Crowd getting very excited, but here's Black. Ooh. He does know where the goal is, this boy. Here he is again, on his left foot. Penrice. Good tackle, McDonough. Now Black. Dowie. Dreyer. Good ball from Dreyer. And Black again creating space for himself superbly. And that's even more than he could have hoped for, because it's going to be a Luton corner. As we go into the dying minutes of the first half now. Corner given away by Gordon Cowans. And Spink waits and organises. Pembridge, good effort. Oh, what a magnificent goal for a youngster. What a superb goal. And Villa are in real problems here. This is as good a goal as I've seen this season. Short little corner, dragging players away from the box, and that's where the ball goes. And you can hardly fault Spink, because it's gone in literally into the corner of a post. What a marvellous moment for a young player, Mark Pembridge, 20 years of age. And Cascarino not offside, because one or two, like Roger, had stayed slightly back off the defensive line. Penrice there first. York, edge of the box. Luton can't clear. Gage makes something out of that ball from Cowans. Read it well. McGrath. Everybody forward of him. Cascarino was pulled. Must be a penalty. And that is poor defending by John Dreyer on Cascarino. And here's perhaps Aston Villa's lifeline. How often we see this. There was a clear pull. And that is really enough to make a manager fume. But it's given Aston Villa a lifeline, and it's David Platt on his return to the first team in front of his beloved Holt End. Would you believe it? Cascarino, can he finish? No, he can't. And is it truly to be Luton's day? The blast. Straight at Alec Chamberlain from David Platt. And it manifestly did not work. There's a zip about the second half so far. But really and truly, Villa have spurned a marvellous opportunity. And it's just as well that you've studied philosophy down the years in moments like this. Luton still lead 2-0. And when offered a lifeline, Villa have not profited from it. McGrath. But there's a certain zip about Villa's play since the break. Gage forward, Cascarino. And Priest tidies up again, busy and tidy. And now something, Elstrup, who is quick. And this could finish it as a contest. Lars Elstrup, magnificent save from Nigel Spink. The second outstanding save he's produced in this game, as Elstrup struck that offside, and that was really fingernail stuff. Pembridge, left foot again, different style, different result. Good battling from Beaumont in midfield. He's done a quiet, hard job today. But Cowans gets Villa going. Gray, Penrice showing well. Platt's legs won't take him into that hole, and York cut the keeper off, and it meant that the defender had time. Now, Pembridge with space, and with Johnson to his right.
And this is Johnson. Cambridge finds a corner. Elstrup and Dowie, the two big guys. Chris waits, short. Another clever little variation from Luton. They scored from one of these. Black, good ball, good header as it came in, and it was Roger. And again, those clever little corners engineered by Priest, and Villa are not dealing with them. And here's nearly what happened as a result. Just clipping the top of the goal support. And a clever knock from Penrice, and here's Platt. Here it is again, Penrice just getting himself in the way. And Platt, so clever in front of goal in making space for shots like that. And it's, surprise, surprise, a defender who goes off and a goal scorer who comes on. Ian Olney is on. Again, Cowans tries to step up the tempo. McGrath, still McGrath, too long. Cowans keeps it. Platt, one back by Cascarino. Sheer weight of numbers produces some reward for Villa, and they're still in this game. Cowans keeping the ball alive. Good athletic header by Platt. Cascarino reacts quickest.
A great win at Aston Villa, and it saw the Hatters in 14th place in the division, not out of trouble, but with 6 points separating them from the relegation positions. Next came a crucial trip to Coventry, just 3 points behind the Hatters.
In midweek, Coventry sought to ease their relegation worries at Highfield Road, but visitors Luton had the same idea. John Dreher's low drive is turned in by centre-half Graham Rodger after 11 minutes to give the Hatters an unexpected early lead. They hung on to it until 15 minutes into the second half, but then their goal scorer failed in his more familiar defensive role. His poor back pass lets in Kevin Gallagher, and keeper Alec Chamberlain brings him down for a penalty. Chamberlain certainly lets Rodger know who he thought was to blame, but he also wasn't impressed with Gallagher's theatrical tumble and was booked by referee Peter Jones for protesting. His evening continued to go rapidly downhill when Brian Burrows' penalty hit the post and spun in off the back of his head. It was Burrows' 5th successful spot kick of the year, but credit the unfortunate Chamberlain with an unwilling assist. Burrows happy to accept the referee's ruling that the ball had crossed the line. Terry Butcher found Andy Pearce at non-league Hales Owen, and with just 8 minutes to go in his second game for the club, his header secures 3 invaluable points for the Sky Blues. Two defeats in 4 days for Luton means their First Division future hangs very much in the balance. 21 minutes gone, and Norwich's David Phillips finds Tim Sherwood to fire home his 7th of the season. Still plenty for Luton to do if they're to fight another day.
That was to be Ian Dowie's last game for the club, as West Ham paid £480,000 to take him to Upton Park. Ian had scored 19 goals in 78 appearances for the club. Luton's next stop, Manchester United away.
Manchester United, fresh from their midweek win over Montpellier in Europe. It takes them just 6 minutes to carry on where they left off in France. Corner from Lee Sharp. Gary Pallister does well, and Steve Bruce forces home his 13th of the season. A bizarre equaliser for Luton, though, on 34 minutes. They've never won at Old Trafford. Just watch this effort from David Priest. And watch the bounce in front of poor Les Seeley. 3 minutes in the second half, United back in front, and it's Bruce once again, number 14 of the season for him. 20 minutes from time, again Lee Sharp the provider. Mark Robins' effort parried by Chamberlain. It's in before Hughes arrives. United's fourth now, and it's a superb build-up as well, involving Phelan and Robson and Robins towards Hughes. He's bundled off the ball. McClare keeps running. United 4, Luton 1. At Bramall Lane, Dave Bassett's United could make virtually certain of avoiding the drop with a win against Luton, and Luton themselves in deep trouble at the bottom. 14 minutes gone, and Lars Elstrup with a neat header, his 17th of the season. Ten minutes into the second half, United get their equaliser. A long ball played into the area, and the Luton keeper Alec Chamberlain won't be too happy with this particular punch. Ian Bryson gets his 4th in 5 games. Now Glyn Hodges has become a huge favourite at Bramall Lane. He starts off the move that leads to United's winner. Hodges has come on loan from Palace. Brian Deane carries it on, and it's Hodges who gets in with a superb glancing header. He's due to complete a permanent move to United in the next fortnight.
Luton's 4th loss in a row, and with Sunderland winning, the Hatters now only 3 points clear of relegation. Another late-season rally needed yet again. Tottenham were the next visitors to Kenilworth Road.
On the plastic pitch, still problems for both Spurs and Luton. Neither side really impressing. Luton, though, coming closest to scoring. There's a penalty. Samway stripping Mark Pembridge. Now, the Luton skipper, John Dreyer, has an excellent record from the spot this season. He hasn't missed one. He has now. Worst to follow for Luton, fullback Marvin Johnson sent off for his second bookable offence after 72 minutes. The Luton fans calling for their chairman to be sacked, and the side is still deep in relegation trouble. The Chelsea manager Bobby Campbell dropped 4 internationals for the match against Luton at the Bridge, bringing in the youngsters. After 14 minutes, though, Chelsea are behind. Lars Elstrup catches the home defence flat-footed. Bobby Campbell perhaps regretting that decision to ring the changes. And 3 minutes later, more problems for his side. Sean Farrell keeps his cool and slots home the loose ball. Luton 2 up. And after 23 minutes, Luton look to have it all sewn up. A cross from the lively Farrell, and Kingsley Black, the Irish international, beats Besant for Luton's 3rd. Then an eventful 10 minutes for Chelsea's Graham Lasseau before half-time. He gets Chelsea back in it. That's 3-1. And just before half-time, Chelsea are reduced to 10 men. Graham Lasseau elbows Graham Rodger there. There's a yellow card for the Luton man, and Lasseau, who definitely left the right elbow in, gets his marching orders. Chelsea in real trouble then, 3-1 down, and down to 10 men as well. But all that does is to inspire an amazing comeback in the second half. Townsend's free kick, Graham Stewart heads it in, and that's 3-2. And on 67 minutes, it's all square thanks to Dennis Wise. There's a shove on Wise there. The referee giving Chelsea a penalty. Luton none too happy about it. Wise to take it. Alex Chamberlain blocks the effort, and Wise forces home the rebound. Luton squander a 3-goal lead, but what a comeback by Chelsea. Ray Harford was sacked by his old club Luton for not smiling enough. He may have been after 79 minutes at Kenilworth Road. Keith Curle's free kick into the area. It comes back for John Fashanu, and the strikers' 18th of the season is enough to give Wimbledon all 3 points and keep their manager Harford very happy.
5 points clear of Sunderland, who have a game in hand over Luton. 3 games left for Luton, the first at home to Sunderland, effectively a 6-pointer.
Sunderland keep their First Division survival hopes alive at Kenilworth Road. This the meeting between the two sides directly above Derby at the bottom of the table. Sunderland strike first. Bracewell sets up the chance for Gordon Armstrong, and that's a great effort from a narrow angle. 1-0 to Sunderland, 23 minutes played. Luton get their equaliser 10 minutes before half-time. Kingsley Black wide out on the left, and a good finish from Graham Rodger, 1-1. But Sunderland get the vital winner just after the hour. Substitute Marco Gabbiadini, back after a long injury layoff, takes it to the byline, and Colin Pascoe with the easiest of chances. Sunderland with a game in hand over Luton, still fighting to stay in Division 1. Remember last season they stayed up on the very last day. Luton getting no luck at Goodison Park, and the game decided early in the second half. A clearance from Dreyer hits McCall in the face and falls for Tony Cottee. Luton's last game is home to Derby County.
So with Sunderland drawing with Arsenal, yet again it comes down to the final match of the season. Could Luton stay up again? For the second year running, it's Derby County who are the opposition, this year at Kenilworth Road. Forsyth to take the free kick. And just waiting now as Mark Wright moves forward. Further beyond him is Mick Harford. Wright going for it though. Oh, a missed kick by McDonough. Harford drove it well, and a flying save from Alec Chamberlain. The goalkeeper who's had a terrific season, though it's been such a trouble one for Luton Town. And Mick Harford, who knows this pitch so well, really connected well. On from Harford. Saunders beaten to it by Dreyer. Here's Elstrup. And Derby backpedaling. Elstrup goes on and on. Black, oh, it was a reasonable chance. But on a synthetic surface, the contact has to be virtually 100%. And when you look at this again, you'll see that Kingsley Black got it down towards the heel of his left foot. Well, on that side, he's normally pretty reliable, but it's a tense affair, this. Although Black and Luton have been through it before, too often for their comfort. It's Black's attempted cross now, and he really is at the moment trying a bit too hard. He's Luton Town through and through, and he deserves to be playing in the First Division next season. Will Peter Shilton be playing at all? Just skipped away from Priest when he thought he was going to be able to set Luton going. In the end, David Priest gets a tackle in on the retreat. Nicely done by Rees. Black. Rees is free to the right. Black still looks and doesn't use him and crosses instead. And Kingsley Black was using Jason Rees as a decoy. And it was a ball that took some defending by Derby. Luton have the corner. Priest to take it. Black started to show for the short one and has moved away now. Header from Dreyer. Priest again. And again. And Derby have pulled plenty of players back. Playing simply for their pride, trying to end their disastrous season with a victory. Long from McDonough. And that's Farrell climbing well. With the sale of Ian Dowie earlier this season, Sean Farrell has the opportunity here to earn a regular place. Dreyer pushing Pembridge out of the way. Pembridge gets his toe to it, and Farrell is away from right, and it was all fairly untidy, but George Courtney doesn't rule in Farrell's favour. He got in front of Mark Wright, and then Wright was able to get to the ball. Saunders. Derby at the moment struggling to hold the ball up in the Luton half, and Luton pressing strongly. Oh, and Farrell! Well, they really have had enough chances already to secure another season of First Division football here. It was rather a fortunate run on the ball that took it to Farrell, but it was a clear opening. Dreyer. Here's Pembridge. Geraint Williams really having to do total defending in his midfield job at the moment. 4 minutes to go to half-time. And here's Rees with the free kick. Oh, and it's a goal! And I think it came off with great irony. The head of Mick Harford, the former Luton player, who headed so many fine goals for Luton, and he's got another one wearing Derby's colours. Well, Luton don't mind how the goal came. They are in front, and that will surely relax them. Trying to avoid the news of how Sunderland are getting on at Main Road. But Luton are in the better position of the two clubs who are trying to avoid going down with Derby. Here's Paul Williams. And they're listening to the radios, the supporters are. Took down by Harford, helped on by Saunders. But Luton are on a high. Pembridge. Farrell! Oh. Well, Chilton went one way, the ball powerfully went the other. Too powerfully, because it arrowed wide of the post, when in truth Sean Farrell had most of the goal to aim at. Rees has got it back. This is Black. Pembridge. Well, Luton have had to lean heavily on their young players, and some have really come of age this season, and Mark Pembridge would come into that category. Farrell waiting by the near post, Elstrup just behind him, Shilton doing the organising. And Priest pondering as to what to do with the corner. Oh, it's come for Black, and for Elstrup! Well, early in the season, it was Elstrup's goals that kept Luton in a presentable position in the table. And here he is again, in the right place, very much at the right time for Jim Ryan's team. 2-0. Right. And Mark Wright has made a great run. He hasn't scored this season, and he still hasn't. And he credits Alec Chamberlain for that. Oh, and it's Wright again against the bar. Well, I think Derby felt just how low they were on luck when Niall Quinn of Manchester City went in goal and saved the Dean Saunders penalty a few weeks ago. But very little has gone for them. And the same applies here. Micklewhite, good handling by Chamberlain. To a real chorus of approval. It was Mark Wright earlier who rattled the bar. Harvey. It took two to stop him. There it is! Luton Town stay in the First Division. And for the third successive year, they've done it on the last day of the season. The nail-biting over, a happy conclusion. Another season in Division 1 for the Houdini Club, 18th in the table. And Jim Ryan understandably elated about the way the last game went.
Obviously I feel elated, and I feel extra pleased about it because of the manner of the football we played to win the game. I thought we produced good quality football and an exciting game, and really deserved our 2-0 win.
What's it been like in the week leading up to this game?
Absolutely dreadful. It's funny, I slept better last night than I've slept all week, and I felt really good this morning, and that's the first time I've felt good for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So.
How disastrous would it have been if you were relegated?
Well, it is. I don't know that disastrous. I think, we're talking about a sport in the end, entertainment, and disasters are things that happen in Bangladesh and places like that. So it's important not to get it completely out of focus, but we wanted to stay in the First Division. I think it's important that we stay in the First Division. I think it's important not just for Luton, but also for the rest of the league, because here's a smaller club who are playing perhaps in a different manner from other small clubs in the First Division. So it was important. It wouldn't have been disastrous, that's exaggerating things slightly.
I think we had a good first half season, and then we dropped down in form in the second half of the season, where we had a good spell against Chelsea in the Zenith Cup, and then Liverpool, Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. We got 3 wins there on the trot, and that helped us again. But after that we didn't win many games, and we dropped down deeper and deeper into the relegation zone. But fortunately we stayed up.
What's the sense of relief like in the dressing room?
Well, of course, the relief is big. There's a big difference in playing in the First Division and playing in the Second Division. It's always going to be hard to come back from the Second Division. There's so many good teams there. So, of course, the relief is big now.
What were your thoughts going into the game? Because you hadn't won for 9 matches.
Well, we never thought of that. We just thought that we have to go and do the business. We got to get a goal, hopefully get 2 goals, and then hope that we always knew it was going to be difficult for Sunderland and Manchester City. So we went for the win and hope that the result will be there for us.
What would you say was your best performance in the league this season?
It's got to be away against QPR when we lost 6-1. No, not that one. I think when we played away against Southampton early in the season and we won the game 2-1 and I scored the 2 goals, I think that's my best game of the season.
What would you say, what sort of support have you had from the fans this season?
I think it's been tremendous, especially when we played against Everton up there and we lost 1-0. And when we went 1-0 down, they really got behind us. And that was a great attitude from the supporters, and today you could see it on the pitch. They were behind us all through the game, so that's been really tremendous.
Changes for next season, turf instead of plastic and away supporters at Kenilworth Road. And Luton will hope that the team's survival doesn't rest on the final game.